In this video, we're going to actually make a couple of sub-assemblies. So what I've done is I have renamed our tab with the box and the followers. I've renamed that box, and actually I probably should name that box assembly. And then we're going to add over here, create assembly. I did that, and now I've renamed it follower assembly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by inserting the follower. So I'm going to scroll down, find my follower, and I'm going to click to place it inside. Now the next part that we're going to do is we're going to find that little triad, grab the circle, and we're going to snap it to that center point right there. Once we snap it, we're going to click that again. See if we can do it. There it is at the top. When I right click, I want to move that to origin, click out, and we are going to fix that. So that way the follower is what is not moving. Now, what I want to do is I want to insert my roller, click to place, and I am going to use a fasten mate to glue the bottom of my follower to, now this is important, you're going to go to the inside, so you've got to zoom in. So if you keep defaulting to this outer circle, that means your follower won't actually insert into the part that we modeled for it. So you want to make sure that you get to that interior circle. Go ahead and click, and let's zoom out, see if it works, and it looks like it did. So I'm going to go ahead and hit good to go, and if we hover over that part, you can see that that part does go into the hole, just like we had designed it to do that. And we do not need a second fasten mate. So we are done with our follower assembly. Pretty easy, wasn't it? So the next part is actually, it's a little tricky. We're going to do some offsets here, but we're going to create our crankshaft. So I'm going to go ahead and create new assembly, and we're going to rename it Crankshaft. And I am going to start by inserting in our axle. So bring in the axle. First part, we want to make sure we get that little triad. Oh, green check mark, we're good. Grab our triad, grab that circle, find Pac-Man, then right click, move to origin. Right click, fix. And now we can kind of maneuver and start with adding in our bushings. So the way this is going to work is everything is going to be fixed because they will rotate together once the crank kind of rotates around everything. We are going to insert our axle bushing. You'll notice this axle bushing is not lining up, so we're going to highlight. Well, let's try accept. We're going to highlight, and then we're going to use these rotators to allow us to move it the way we want it to go. So I'm going to grab this little sun guy, and that will kind of let me rotate it around the way that I want it to go. And then I can kind of move it to where I want it to go. Now with this, the way this is going to work, I want the end of my dowel rod to be flush with the end of my axle bushing. So when I'm using my fasten mate, I want to keep that in mind, that I want my blue arrow pointing out from the end of the dowel rod, but I want it to go all the way in to this bottom circle, and I want that blue arrow facing outward. So there we go. We've got our axle in the axle bushing, and everything is good. Now we are going to do this again with another axle bushing. I'm going to right click. Let's see if I can copy axle bushing, and then we're going to paste axle bushing. I'm going to do the same thing, so it's going to look like I'm going to have, but this time I want the axle bushing completely facing the other way. So I'm going to go to 180, type that in, and I want the bottom edge to be flush with this dowel rod. So we are going to do the bottom circle again. And, ooh, I don't think that's going to work because see how my blue arrow is pointing the wrong way? Let's go ahead and start and go in from this direction. Grab that bottom circle. And then we're going to go to the axle edge. And this time we're going to get a little tricky. We're going to use an offset. And this may take a little bit of tinkering around with the subassembly once we put it in the box. But we're going to go to our box assembly real quick. And down in the bottom corner, there's this measure option. And I'm actually going to choose this outside edge. And I'm going to click this other outside edge. And I don't want to highlight too much because I really want to know the outer distance. So and we could tell this from our plans too, but I wanted to show you the measure tool in Onshape. We have a measurement or a distance between 5 inches. So my goal is for those axle bushings to actually be 5 inches apart so that they nestle just right when we assemble it. So when I do my offset, I'm going to go back into Fasten Mate, and I'm going to add in, let's see, a Z offset, because that's the Z axis is what we aligned. Let's try a 5. And you'll notice that it went the wrong way. So I'm going to do a -5 and hit enter. And already I can tell that that's probably not going to work. But I'm going to go ahead and accept it because there is one thing I want to check. I want to check, I do believe I shortened one of these axles. According to our plans, it should be 7 inches long. And if I look at this extrude, I had shortened it. So this is 7 inches. Okay. And then if we go back to our crankshaft, you can see it got a little bit longer. So that's kind of the nice thing about when we're using CAD is that it'll update part instances wherever you go. So the way I did that, just so you know, is I went to switch the axle around. That is the part file. I could have also edited it in context, which means that I have the assembly pulled up, but all my commands here are for the part, and I could have edited that extrusion directly there. And then I click go to assembly to return. Okay, so that is good for now. Those are the sub-assemblies that we're going to need to be able to place into our boxes in the next video.